It happened on September 12, 2005, in the small town of Vineland, New Jersey. The air still carried the warmth of late summer, heavy with the smell of grass and asphalt after the morning sun. 6-year-old Marisol Garcia was at the local park with her mother, Lucia Alvarez, and her little brother, Mateo, who had just turned 3. The park sat behind the elementary school, near a row of red storage sheds and a baseball field where older kids sometimes practiced after class. Lucia had brought them there after picking up popsicles from a corner store. She parked her old blue sedan by the curb and watched as the children ran ahead. Marisol wore her favorite pink t-shirt and denim shorts, her hair tied into 2 uneven braids that bounced when she ran. Mateo toddled after her, clutching his melting treat. Lucia stayed near the car, talking quietly to her cousin, who had come along and was helping her check a lottery ticket. They were barely 5 minutes into their conversation when Mateo came running back, crying so hard he could hardly breathe. His popsicle had fallen into the dirt. Lucia kneeled down, wiping his face. "¿Dónde está tu hermana?" she asked. He pointed toward the playground, his hand shaking. "She ran that way," he said in a mix of English and Spanish, "toward the red houses." Lucia looked up. The playground was nearly empty now. The swings moved slowly in the breeze, creaking. She called out, "Marisol!" but no voice answered. She walked toward the storage sheds, then around the corner of the baseball field. Nothing. Only the sound of traffic humming from the nearby road. After 10 minutes of searching, she called the police at 4:47 p.m. Her voice was trembling so badly that the dispatcher had to repeat the question. "Ma'am, what's your child's name?" Within half an hour, patrol cars lined the street. Officers spread through the park, knocking on doors, asking if anyone had seen a little girl in a pink shirt. Witnesses described a man, light-skinned, possibly Latino, wearing a black shirt and red pants. Someone said he had been seen standing near a red van with tinted windows, parked by the baseball diamond. Another described him as thin, with a few marks on his chin. But nothing was certain. The van was gone before anyone thought to take down a license plate number. As evening fell, volunteers joined the search. Police combed the wooded areas behind the park, using flashlights and dogs. They found Marisol's popsicle wrapper near a bench and small footprints in the dirt, but the trail ended by the fence that bordered the schoolyard. Beyond it, there was nothing. No drag marks, no tire impressions, just silence. By midnight, the local news had picked up the story. 6-year-old girl missing in Vineland Park. A photo of Marisol smiling with a gap in her teeth appeared on TV screens across New Jersey. Her mother stood before cameras, her eyes swollen from crying. "Please," she said in Spanish, "if someone has her, bring her home. She's just a little girl." The next days blurred into one another. The FBI joined the investigation. Posters went up in every store, gas station, and bus stop. Calls came in from people claiming to have seen red vans. One in Millville, another in Camden, but none led anywhere. 2 weeks later, the searches stopped. The park returned to its quiet routines. Children laughing, swings creaking, sprinklers running at dusk. But for the Garcia family, time froze on that September afternoon. By 2010, 5 years had passed. Lucia still lived with her parents, unable to leave the house that held Marisol's toys and drawings. The police called her occasionally when new leads surfaced, remains found in wooded areas, sightings of missing children, but each time the result was the same. Not her. Marisol's case slowly slipped into the list of unsolved disappearances. Detectives retired, files gathered dust. For most people in Vineland, the name became a sad memory whispered among old neighbors. But for Lucia, it was a wound that never healed. Every September, she placed a pink ribbon on the park fence and prayed in silence. One night in 2012, she got a call from an unfamiliar number. A man's voice, hesitant and low, said, "She's safe." Before she could ask anything, the line went dead. Police traced it to a payphone near the border in Laredo, Texas. The caller was never identified. The message brought both hope and fear. Who was she? Why now? But no new evidence followed. Years continued to pass. Lucia remarried in 2015, moving to a small apartment in Atlantic City with her new husband. But she never stopped keeping Marisol's room exactly as it had been. Walls pink, bed neatly made, a stuffed bear by the pillow. In April 2020, 15 years after the day Marisol vanished, a call reached the Vineland Police Department from the U.S. Consulate in Monterrey, Mexico. The voice on the line belonged to a social worker from a small town in the state of Tamaulipas. She explained that a 21-year-old woman named Ana Garcia had been taken into protective custody after local authorities arrested a man for document forgery. During questioning, the man, an American citizen, had insisted that the young woman was his daughter, but her birth certificate appeared altered and her story didn't match. The name he gave for himself was Miguel Garcia. The file immediately caught the attention of the FBI agent assigned to cold cases from the 2000s. Miguel Garcia was Marisol's biological father. He had returned to Mexico when she was 3, and contact with Lucia had ended soon after. The DNA test confirmed what few dared to hope. Ana Garcia was Marisol. The news broke quietly at first. A short bulletin from the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but within hours, it spread across American networks. Missing New Jersey girl found alive in Mexico after 15 years. Reporters called Lucia's house nonstop. She refused interviews, only saying through tears, "She's alive. That's all I ever wanted." Authorities pieced together what had happened. In September 2005, Miguel had crossed the border illegally, staying with relatives near Vineland. He had been struggling, jobless, recently deported, desperate to see his daughter again. When he spotted her playing in the park, he acted on impulse. Investigators believed he lured her with promises of ice cream and took her to the van, driving south the same afternoon. From there, he traveled through Texas and into Mexico, settling in a small village near Ciudad Victoria. Using forged documents, he registered Marisol as his daughter, Ana Garcia, claiming her mother had died. The community knew them as quiet but distant. Miguel worked as a mechanic, and Ana attended a rural school. For 15 years, she grew up believing her mother had abandoned her. Miguel never allowed her to contact anyone or travel alone. When Ana turned 20, she began questioning her past, the lack of photos, the inconsistent dates on documents. After his arrest for using a false ID, she told police she didn't know where she was born. That uncertainty led to the DNA test. When Marisol, now 21, returned to the United States, cameras waited at the airport, but authorities shielded her from the press. She looked calm but distant, her posture careful, her face older than her years. Her eyes held the weight of 15 years of silence. She met her mother at a family center in Newark. The moment Lucia entered the room, Marisol froze. For a second, neither moved. Then Lucia stepped forward, whispering her name. "Mi niña." Marisol began to cry. They embraced for the first time in 15 years. No cameras, no interviews, only the sound of their breathing and the quiet hum of a fluorescent light overhead. In the weeks that followed, Marisol struggled to adjust. She spoke Spanish with a northern Mexican accent, rarely switching to English. She couldn't remember much of her early childhood, just the smell of the park grass, the taste of popsicles, and a woman's voice calling her name. She told counselors she didn't hate her father. She pitied him. "He thought he was saving me," she said softly, "but he took my life away." Miguel Garcia was extradited to the United States and charged with kidnapping, child abduction, and falsifying federal documents. During his trial in 2021, he claimed he had acted out of love, not malice. The prosecution presented evidence of premeditation, a rented van, fake papers prepared days earlier, and witness testimony placing him near the park. Lucia attended every session, sitting silently in the back row. When asked by reporters what she wanted from the trial, she answered simply, "Truth." The jury took less than 4 hours to convict him. He was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. After the verdict, Marisol began visiting the park in Vineland, where it all began. The red sheds were still there, faded and rusting. The playground had been rebuilt, new slides, new swings, but the field behind it looked the same. She stood by the fence, looking toward the spot where she was last seen. Children played nearby, their laughter echoing through the air. For a moment, she imagined she was one of them again, a little girl with sticky fingers and a melting popsicle, unaware of how quickly life can vanish. She bent down and pressed her hand to the ground, whispering a small prayer. "Gracias por traerme de vuelta." Lucia joined her, holding a small pink ribbon. the same kind she had tied to the fence every year since 2005. Together, they tied it to the chain link once more. This time, it wasn't a symbol of loss, but of survival. Reporters would later call it one of the most remarkable recoveries in New Jersey history. But to Lucia and Marisol, there were no headlines left to write. There was only the quiet rebuilding of a life that had once been stolen. In the evenings, Lucia still lit a candle by her window, not out of grief, but gratitude. Marisol, now enrolled in college, sometimes sat beside her, helping translate letters from the consulate or reading old case files. When asked once what she remembered most about that day in the park, she answered without hesitation, "The sound of my brother crying. I wish I'd gone back for him." Then she smiled faintly. "But I made it home,